The Walt Disney Company made a massive several $100 million, if not $1 billion, write-down on the Galactic Starcruiser, with promises that it was not profitable and would not be used. But now construction permits indicate that someone is doing work on the site of the once great Galactic Starcruiser. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello and welcome to That Park Place. I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. With me, as always, is Mr. Vash Sky. Vash, you doing all right, man?
I am doing very well. Actually, much better than...
I'm sorry. My mistake. Bright suns to you, sir.
Yes, bright suns. That's 100% right there. And, well, I mean, the sun still shines brightly on other attractions like Galaxy's Edge or Star Tours, as you just heard right there, but not so much in the Galactic Starcruiser. So this is a very interesting story for me.
Yes, let's get into it. Disney files construction permit for shuttered Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. This one out of WDW Magic, and good work to them on finding this so early. Disney has filed a construction permit for the now closed Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser at Walt Disney World. For those of you who are somehow not aware of this project but are clicking on this video, the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser was essentially a long concrete building that was supposed to function like some kind of Star Wars themed cruise on land. You were meant to only exit through approved entrances and exits unless there was some kind of an emergency. And it was supposed to look like you were going into space and coming back down from space whenever you entered or exited the building. Trips were about $5,000 for 2 nights, and you could have up to 4 people in there. I don't know if there were extra charges for multiple people, but it was expensive and therefore unsuccessful. No, that's not the entire reason. It also was themed around Vash. Have you heard of the spin-off trilogy?
Spin-off trilogy? I haven't.
Yeah,
necessarily.
apparently after George, I was just becoming aware of this. After George Lucas left, Disney got a hold of Star Wars and released 3 films that were like kind of adjacent to the Skywalker story. And they were moderately successful at the start, but by the end, they were spending so much on them they couldn't be profitable. It was so weird. And at the last-ditch effort at the end, they renamed the Emperor's granddaughter to a Skywalker after they had killed all the Skywalkers. So weird. Anyways,
Weird.
So Vash, did you have something to add there?
Oh no! I happen to know this trilogy as more of like the sequel trilogy, but it's a very interesting characterization. Very accurate and like you said, very weird.
No, I don't think that lady is in Star Wars. The weird lady, even though apparently she. Oh, that's Rey. She's from the spin-off trilogy.
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
The permit is assigned to Sunstate Awning and Graphic Design, a Florida-based company that provides custom fabric and metal awnings. The permit provides no other information. How mysterious. And the scope of the work is unknown. It remains to be seen if this construction is related to any future guest-facing project at the former Starcruiser or simply a part of maintaining the building during its closure. Disney is remaining tight-lipped on the future of the building. Speaking in June of 2023, hey, that's last year, Disney Parks boss Josh D'Amaro. Is it D'Amaro or D'Amaro? I get dinged in the chat if I mispronounce an Imagineer's or Imagineering boss's name. He's not actually an Imagineer.
No, not at all. He doesn't carry that distinction to be lauded by that particular group of being associated directly with them. No, he just runs and oversees them and denies projects whenever they come up.
That's true. He also does not like to say what's actually happening. He likes to hint at what's happening. Actually, what's funny here, the quote happens to be, "No hints yet, but something will happen." Okay, well, who knows if it'll happen this decade, but here we are. Possible concepts for repurposing the Starcruiser include a much cheaper daytime excursion from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, converting the facility into a traditional hotel experience. Interesting. The latter seems more unlikely due to significant changes that would need to be made to the building to operate as a conventional hotel. Vash, what are some of the reasons that someone might not want to stay in this as a quote-unquote conventional hotel?
Well, what is the old saying? There is no windows and no doors. Well, there's doors, but no windows. That could be a particularly bad sticking point. Also, too, there's no kind of on-site amenities as you would maybe expect from a hotel experience, like, I don't know, a swimming pool. So it makes this, it always made this hotel a lot more difficult to actually to convert into a standard experience, which is why I think the Disney company took the issue to kind of write it off completely. But a construction permit associated with it, this is enlightening here.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's something I never even considered with the failure of the Galactic Starcruiser. If it's supposed to be comparable to a cruise, and that's the price point that they seem to be setting this at, you
Right.
have to be interested. One, you have to be interested in Star Wars, and two, within that, you have to be interested in the spin-off trilogy, and three, you have to be interested in a cruise, but not in all of the things you get on a cruise, like
Right.
I don't know, movies and shows and pools and doing excursions to island places. Your only excursion would be to Walt Disney World, which, by the way, I believe how much is an Incredipass right now? Is it $2,500? It's $400 if you get the Pixie Pass, but it's several $1,000s, but still nowhere near half the cost of getting into the Galactic Starcruiser.
Oh yeah, and that's the kind of thing here. I mean, unlike a cruise where it's a more of a laid back experience, this was not a relaxation experience whatsoever. In fact, it was encouraged that you be an active participant in the story that plays out, and it's kind of interesting how the Imagineering, at considerable expense, I might say, are indeed ways that could kind of tailor your experience depending on what decisions that you made while doing this and so forth. But if you weren't an active participant in this, you weren't at all getting your money's worth. So unlike a cruise where you can kind of sit back and still enjoy your time with your family, this was, hey, you better be a participant or else you're losing out for sure.
Yeah, and there was, of course, you have to assume that whoever was doing it needs to have a data pad or an iPhone of some
Right.
kind. And not everybody, hey, despite what Disney thinks, not everybody wants to be on their iPhones the entire time that they're on vacation.
Now I know they did give out some devices in the event that maybe something happened with yours or wasn't compatible or whatever, so that you could still take part in this experience. But a lot of technical issues associated with these data pads, in which people weren't getting updates to missions that they wanted to embark on, to certain events and experiences that they wanted to see, because people were posting their experiences on social media. It's like I want that one, but it's like, ooh, well, that one you have to go this way to do, and then if you want this one you have to go that way. So it was ambitious, I will say that, but
Oh yeah,
unfortunately,
this is
the
something that does sound great on paper to
sure.
a certain number of people who wouldn't want to be in the Star Wars universe for 2 to 3 nights, fully immersive. Now that's actually a lot to ask of an entire group of people, and it was a lot for us. We have 6 people in our family, and I don't think I would want to pay for all of them to go and do all of this stuff while we still have some people maybe in diapers, you know?
Yeah. So it was kind of age limited, and it's just to have an experience like this, really kind of like you said before, like you had to like Star Wars, you had to like this a variation of Star Wars, but in particular, you had to kind of understand that, well, this is supposed to be part of a cruise, so your accommodations are going to be cruise-like in terms of their size, certainly not of their let's say amazing furnishings and decorations and so forth like that. It's just the execution of this, I think, was what really kind of tripped them up here. If they had really gone all out, which, I don't think maybe the Walt Disney Company wanted to necessarily do that, especially being that this was, from what I understand, a Chapek darling. They wanted to contain costs just a little bit right there. I think it really, really tripped them up because, it's like, wow, my accommodations are how small? And
Right.
like,
Right.
this
Those were
looks like
some
a
pretty
value
small
hotel.
rooms. Which
Right?
in land was not at a premium here, because it was outside of the boundaries of the park.
Right.
They could have made it actually very large if they wanted to, and I'm sure it would have increased costs on some level. But it's not like they were an actual cruise ship. Continuing on, though, it carried a price tag of $5,200 for a 2-day 2-night experience. Launched March 1st. But the final Galactic Starcruiser voyage was September 28th to the 30th. It looks like to me that this is probably, unless they're going to be filing a lot more permits, I doubt that this is actually a retheme of the entire experience here. Maybe it's the start of something new. I don't see the Galactic Starcruiser coming back anytime soon. I've also heard rumors from some people that they might redo it to a Marvel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. experience, but at this point, I'm Vash, would you want to do a $5,000 Marvel experience at this point?
Oh yeah, I don't know about Marvel. I don't think that's going to happen. But I will say this: if Universal, let's say, wanted to get into this area, maybe they have to change it up a little bit in order to avoid some of the patents that Disney filed as part of this thing. But if they necessarily want to get into this, like a Harry Potter experience, I'm not even a Harry Potter fan.
I mean, here's the other thing about Harry Potter is you can set it in modern day and still be fine.
Right? Hogwarts Castle, like, checking into that, and I'm gonna be wizard by the end of this thing. That might be very, very cool. We know Omega Mart, this was heavily inspired actually by in Vegas, actually does really, really well as kind of a live action role playing experience.
Yes.
But this in particular, it just never took off, which was funny because the original plan for this was going to be an 800 room venue with the ability to expand out to 1,200 if it was really, really successful. And the company was like, "Oh, hold on a second, let's try it at small scale." So it got whittled down to 400, then 200, then 100, and even that didn't necessarily work for a variety of reasons. So I don't think the company is necessarily all gung ho about trying this again. Which is unfortunate because I think there was potential in this if executed properly, which they sadly didn't do.
Right, and they never even switched it over to the more successful aspects of the sequel era. The Mandalorian comes to mind, of course. They had that costume all ready to go over in the Disneyland portion of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and the rumor was that he wasn't going to show up at Walt Disney World unless he was pay gated over there at the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. My goodness, they really make these names go on forever. All right, well, I think that we have probably reached the end of this video. Like it if you like it. Please consider sharing it out if you know someone who might be excited about more Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser news, and consider subscribing, if you would, to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.